Hi there, welcome to Transcone Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2023 Connect C272K. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you are pre-wired for a Furrion observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact the parts department. They can put together a quote for you. Other than that, you do have your step system so you can get up to your roof to check all your seals periodically. You got your rear spare tire, and then of course you do your water docking station. You're just going to take your main entry doorway key, stick it inside there like so, and twisting it and opening that up. And you're going to have your main water system. You also do have a nice little exterior shower setup, which does have side here. A little garden hose nozzle. It works pretty simple. Works like standard airline. Just having to pull back on the collar and insert that into there. And you're locked into place, and you'd have hot and cold water at this little shower head. Coax plugins for cable or satellite, and then of course you have your main water fill. So you're gonna notice you got your blue valve here. Typically people connect this with your city water. It does do both. It's just gonna depend on where you have this blue valve. So with the blue valve down, you're on tank fill. If you to turn that blue valve up, you go to city water. Nice little simple system. That's all that for that. In the back corner, taking this bumper cap off, you got your sewer hose. Once fully extended, it is about 20 feet long. You just take a note of those 2 ears there. Those are what can be hooking up to your sewer outlet, which I'll show you in a minute. And we just keep that tucked away, stored in the bumper, just to keep as much smell out of the unit as possible. And then up from there, you do your standard 30 amp connection. You just take a note of that notch there. Lines up with this notch on this side. Once that guy is locked into place, you can just push it firmly into place, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. You follow that cord back. You do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this, and you can plug right on in. But let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service. We do include a 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind when you're going down to 15 amps of power. It's just really to run your fridge or your lights. You're not going to be running your air conditioner on that. Once you do plug in, you got that little blue light on the top telling you have a successful power source. If the red light were to be on, it's telling you your source of power is bad. It has nothing to do with the trailer. In this corner, as well as all 4 corners of the unit, you got your stabilizer jacks. You're just taking your 3/4 inch drive tool, hooking it up to this 3/4 inch drive nut, running this foot down to the ground. Once the foot contacts the ground, just giving another 1/8 quarter turn to snug it up, and it's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. Now going over all that, just mentioning that these are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks, so just keep in mind of that. The same goes for running these on an impact. Cordless impacts are very common nowadays, just keep it in mind. These bend pretty easily, so just be mindful of that. Getting into this front storage compartment, you got the weight distribution, which this customer opted for. You got your standard water hose, as well as that 15 amp park adapter I told you about. And then we do have a 3/4 inch drive tool. This compartment also does connect with underneath the bed. And like I said, all the compartments here, you do have a 1-key system, so your main door lock key will work on all of them. And then you're gonna have your first sewer outlet. Pretty simple. It just locks into this like so. Twisting that off. You got ears on either side. They lock into place just like your sewer hose. You got your black valve and your gray valve. Your black valve, you're always going to want to empty first. It's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. Once you're done that, you can come with your gray valve. This gray valve here is for the main gray tank. Comes from your bathroom, sink, and shower. Up ahead here, this is going to be your galley. So that's only going to come out of that kitchen sink, nothing else, and it works the same way as that one in the back. I do recommend emptying that one last. Down the front of the unit, you got your battery box. Inside there is a 27 RV battery. Then you got your battery disconnect right at the front with it in the on position like it is now. Batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn it to the off position, the batteries would become disconnected from the unit. You got your 2 standard propane tanks right on the front. You're just loosening those knobs, flip that cover back. Most of the time you can get what you need done right from up top here, but just for the purpose of the video, I'll just move it right out of place. It does just slide out of place like so. Pull it off to the side. Right at the front on your regulator, you got the selector valve with it pointed this way. You're gonna be drawing off this tank, so you can counterclockwise to open it up all the way, like your standard barbecue. Opens up the flow to the unit. This one were to go dry, you can turn it off, flip this to the other side, you can turn on that tank. Tongue jack right at the front, manual override up top. Right at the front A-frame here, you got your two main low point drains. Cracking these guys open does empty all the water that's inside the lines, just stops it from going stale or stagnant if you're using the unit for a while. Or I recommend always cracking them open after you're done winterizing. And then you do got your hot water service port. You just loosen that tab, pull this right out of place. You got your reset button, which I'm gonna go over inside, and I'll just refer to it then. You got your pressure relief valve, so whenever you first get your campsite, giving that guy a pull, there should be a shot of water coming out of there, letting you know that the tank's full. We currently have the tank drained, although it is summerized. I just left it drained so that if we're to go dip below freezing temperatures, you're not gonna run into any risks. 1.1 drain bolt right down at the bottom. Just line that guy up, popping it back into place. Furnace exhaust, whenever the furnace is running, that's running up hot air, so just be mindful of that. Then right down below the floor, last little blue valve underneath the floor, cracking that guy open. It does just drain all the water inside your fresh tank. Then you got two 120 plugins as well as a coax outlet in case you were to put a TV outside. And then you do have a black tank flush, but of course reading that caution sticker, you do have to have your sewer connected and your black tank open, just because once you connect that and turn it on, you're going to be pushing pressure into the tank, so you want that pressure to have somewhere to go. That's just used if you're noticing false monitor panel readings or running odors around the unit. You got your bedroom entryway door, works the same way as this one in the front. We are going to empty it through this one today. Just pushing that assist handle up, holding it 90 degrees, it'll lock it into place. At that point, you can open up your door. You do have to open up the door all the way to get that stair set down. Pulling it towards you, the stairs become unlocked. You got adjusters on either side so you can have nice and level stairs. Once those are down, you can take a step on inside. First thing you notice off on your right is going to be that fire extinguisher. That's pretty much just like home, pull the pin and shoot. Now up on the wall here, you got your monitor panel system. So whenever it is running on a motion sensor, so whenever you walk in front of it, it's going to display all your tank levels and battery levels and stuff. You can connect your phone to it if you'd like to do so. You just have to run through the manual to get that going. And then of course you have your slide out options. Slide out 2 is for that backslide. Before running either slide, always making sure you know what's on either side of the slide, inside and out. The reason I say that is because inside sometimes things tend to shift during travel and it could run into the way of the slide out. Of course, I've checked these things before we started the video. Once that slide out's fully extended, you're just gonna hear the whines and the clicks of the motor, and you know that slide out's fully extended. So you heard the clicking, so you know you're done. And the same thing for this main slide. While that's going out, you do have your living room light switch just on that button there. It turns on all the main living space lights. So you got the clicking, you know you're out. Now you got your awning control, pushing and holding that extend button. The awning's going to start making its way out. Unfortunately today we're not going to be able to get it all the way out just due to space. But even though you're fully extended, when you see the little flap hang down or the back of the metal tube, sometimes the flap can get stuck up, so you do just have to retract it a little bit and try putting it back out again. So that is all we're going to be able to go out today. Now if we were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now I feel like that angle better because it allows for more shade underneath. You can do the same thing with the rear arm, just making sure you can push those arms back to straight before you bring in the awning. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And then to retract the awning in, you're just holding that retract button, making sure it's rolling the right way in. And once the arms contact the side of the trailer, it'll automatically cut out. Inside here is just some storage space, and the light inside is just on a motion sensor, as well as the light above your head. So into the main kitchen area. storage all around. Sink with hot and cold water. This here is just a cover for this front little area, in case you don't want to cover it up at night so you don't get light peering through here in the morning. It just snaps into place. Now underneath this cover, just a couple things I do need to point out. You got your solar controller right up here near the wall. There's a bunch of different settings that you can go into that get pretty in depth. You'd have to go through the owner's manual to get into those. But we do currently just have it set up so your regular charging system. So your solar is charging the batteries. That all just works off that. It's already set up for that. But there is more settings you can go into after that. And then behind this false panel here is where you get access to those bypass valves for winterization for your water heater. This light switch here does turn on some accent lights on the outside at the front of the unit. Then you got your stove, of course being careful because this is glass, so just be gentle with it. And then all the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. Whenever you're operating the stove, I always recommend running your range hood. That you're evacuating some of those fumes out of the unit. And then to get this light, you're just pushing that in, turning it over to the high option and hitting the igniter, and it does fire right on up. So I did have the propane system running earlier, so that's why this did fire up so quickly. Typically, when the propane system's been off for a while, it can take a few minutes to purge all the air out of the lines. So whenever you first get to your campsite and turn that propane system on, I do recommend firing up the stove first thing, just because that's the easiest way to purge all the air out of the lines, so that when you go to fire your water heater or something else that runs off propane, it doesn't show a fault code. Get the oven to light, it's pretty much the same thing. Turning it over to that pilot option, pushing and holding that knob in. You can hit the sparker. The oven usually does take a lot longer than the stove too, so just be mindful of that. And then once the pilot's able to hold its own, turn it up to your desired temperature and it does fire right on up. Now, because this does run off propane as well as your furnace, this unit is equipped with an LP detector, which is right here in this back hallway, right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane and open up some windows and vents just to ventilate things out a little bit. Right down here, you got your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. And you got all your fuses on your right. Whenever one blows, there should be a red indicator light letting you know which one's gone. And then you got your fridge, pretty simple, and your freezer. Controls for both are just underneath here, all the way clockwise to the right is going to be its coldest settings. Anywhere before that is a warmer setting, and then of course you're going to notice some off-grid writing here. That's just letting you know the most energy efficient setting to have it on if you're running off just battery power. Charcoal filter to help with some fridge odors. We do sell replacement ones here at the shop. So again, you can contact the parts department and they put together a quote for you. Now you got your entertainment center, pretty much just like home, except you got your stereo, you got your zone A and zone B. Zone A is interior speakers, zone B is exterior speakers. Down below that, again, some more storage space. And then you got your fireplace. Power button is on the far right. Over here, one from to the left of that is a timer, so you can go anywhere from 30 minutes to about 9 hours. And then you got your heat setting, your light setting. Got a bunch of different lights. And then you got your heat setting on the far left. So you got high, and then you got just fan, and then you got low. Power button to turn it off. In your slide out area, you got your table. It's currently set up as a seating area for eating. You can turn it into a bed in case you're to have extra guests. You just have to remove the bottom feet from the table, set the table inside those ledges, and then you can take your back cushions, fill in the center, and you have yourself another bed. Lots of accent lighting throughout this unit, just on their own center push buttons. Then you got two recliner chairs. They are massagers as well as they are heated massage chairs. And they got a little USB plug in. Now taking a step onto the bathroom, which does connect to the bedroom. Light switch is on your right. You're gonna notice this travel strap here that is holding that door closed. So whenever you're traveling, always making sure you have that latch. This isn't sliding back and forth, causing damage. Other than that, you're pretty much a basic bathroom, minus the fact of having your main GFI plug in here. So you got test on the bottom, reset in the middle. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look. On the wall, you got your thermostat. So you got your different fan settings. So on auto, it's an on-demand system. So the system's going to kick in and out as needed. And of course, that's only on air conditioning. Whenever it's on heat, there is one fan setting and that's it. So just be mindful of that. If you want to run just the fan to move some air around, you do just have to turn it to the fan option on either low or high. I do recommend leaving it on auto. And then of course you got cool all the way to the left. This little slider is going to determine what the temperature is. One to the right is off. Last but not least, if you're taking a step into the bedroom, light switch on your left, you do got your private entryway door. Then you just got some storage all around. Up at the top here, this is your main cable satellite outlet. There's a little black button here. Turning that on does turn that antenna on the roof. Now that also improves radio frequency and cell phone frequency, so just be mindful of that. Storage all around. Then of course, if you pick up the foot of the bed, you can get to that storage compartment. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.